Hello, my name's Lauren and I like to talk about all things bookish, so reading vlogs, book reviews, cozy nights in, all that sort of stuff. And today is the very first reading wrap up of 2025. Let's address our little friend that we've got with us today. I'm having to film downstairs, which is a gamble when there are 3 cats in the same room as me, so I do apologise for any feline interruptions today. But this is Buddy, if you've never seen my videos before. This is the first of 3 cats, and he has decided he wants to be in today's vlog. So as long as he sat down being a good boy, that is all good with me. So yeah, first reading wrap up of 2025. This is exciting for several reasons. This will be my first full year doing booktube stuff, so to have this as the first reading wrap up of the year is great. I also did reading wrap ups last year if you take a look at my other videos, but I only started doing booktube stuff in September, October time, so there was only a few months worth of things. Also, the other exciting thing is January is out of the way now. Like a lot of people, January is my least favourite month of the year. I really don't like it. And I know everyone says it's such a long month, and it is, but in some respects it's crazy to me that we are already a month down in 2025 already. That being said, January was a great reading month for me. I read 5 books and I did my first ever series of books, and it was fantasy. So if you've seen some of my other videos, 2025 is going to be my fantasy era, and that journey began this month. So we'll get into it. The first 2 books of the month weren't fantasy, so let's start. So book number 1 was The Little Book of Snow. So I wanted to start January with something super simple. I went away to Edinburgh at the start of January, and I actually read this book on the train up to Edinburgh. It was like a 3-hour train journey. So I read this book going up there, and it's a non-fiction book, and it basically is just facts about snow, which might seem really boring, but it was actually just a really fun, interesting little book. It's not long at all, and I thought it was a great choice for the start of January. Ironically, a couple of days later was when we were hit with the really bad snow. So yeah, I gave this 4 stars. Like I said, it was just a super quick and simple read. It got some really fun little facts in there, little bits of history, little bits of science. Really enjoyed it. Book number 2 was The Betrayal of Thomas True. Now, I have a full review coming for this. It'll be very, very soon. I can't remember my schedule for the video that I've created, but I know it's coming soon. It might even be straight after this vlog. It was a letdown. I gave this book 2.75 stars, and upon reflection, that was probably quite a generous rating. I did almost DNF this book on several occasions, and part of me wishes that I had DNF'd it because it just fell flat. I'm not going to give too much away because, like I said, I do have a full review coming for it where we deep dive into it a little bit more without doing any spoilers. It's a piece of history that deserved more than what it was given, and the reason I actually ended up giving it a 2.75 and not lower was purely for one of the characters in the book that was an absolute redeeming feature of the novel. One of the main characters, not Thomas True, I should point out, was brilliant. He was a really well written character, had a great backstory. His whole storyline throughout the book was really good, and that is why I ended up giving it 2.5. Had it not been for him, it more than likely would have been a DNF. Oh, there we go, second cat. Just a little flying by visit there. But yeah, had it not been for that main character, it would have been a much lower rating. Go and watch the full review when it's out for more of a deep dive on my thoughts on that. And then I feel like the last 3 books of the month we kind of have to talk about as a bit of a whole, because It's the Caraval series. Now yeah, it's very rare that I have physical books to show and to talk about because, again, if you've seen my vlogs, I am predominantly a Kindle reader. That is why those first 2 books just have pictures, because they were read on my Kindle, as are the vast majority of the books that I read. However, I did ask for the Caraval set for Christmas. And for me, January seemed the perfect time to dive into book number 1, which is of course Caraval. And that is where the journey was supposed to end. My original plans, I don't set myself strict TBRs for a month because I'm very much a mood reader. But the plan was to read book 1, have a little bit of a break, move on to book 2. So I thought maybe 1 a month. I read this and I was hooked. And for the first time ever, I read an entire series of books back to back. And that has never happened. I am not a huge fan of series. I have said before, I am much more of a standalone novel kind of gal. I do not do, or I did not do, book series before this. I've also never really read fantasy. Now I am aware that this is classed as YA fantasy, so we're not in there with the heavy world building and the terminology and the complex magic systems. Yes, it does have world building. Yes, it does have a magic system, but it's not that hard to wrap your head around. But because I am going to go big with the fantasy this year, I thought this was a great little gateway into that genre. And January seemed like the perfect time to read something magical and mysterious. So I dove in with Caraval. And I do have a reading vlog out for Caraval already. I will link it below. Go and watch it. It is a very deep dive into the book. I absolutely adored this. 5 stars. And it was one of those books from page 1. I knew it was going to be 5 stars. I have no words for how much I love this book. I didn't believe the hype. This is obviously a very popular series, and I was like, no, it can't be that good. It genuinely is that good. Which is why, after that, I was like, no, I can't take a break. We're doing Legendary. It just made sense when this ends on a bit of a cliffhanger to move straight on to the second one, and the second one does pick up where this left off. I do have a reading vlog for Legendary coming. I have reading vlogs for the entire series. It's just I only upload once a week, twice a week when there is a reading wrap up. So they are going to be spaced out, so I can't link the reading vlogs for the final 2 books yet, but do keep an eye out on them. Give me a little subscribe if you want to, and you can keep an eye out for those. But like I say, Caraval is up. I went on to Legendary, 5 stars again. Like, exquisite. We can see where this is going. Finale, 5 stars. I said it in my finale reading vlog, but obviously the finale one is not going to be out for a little while yet. I'm super glad that I did reading vlogs for all 3 of these books, because I will never get to experience this series for the first time ever again. I could go back and reread them. I am not a massive rereader of books, I do have to say, but I could go back and reread them. But I am never going to get the thoughts and feelings from these books that I had the first time round ever again. And I've never sat and read a book or a series of books and thought when I've got to the end, oh my god, I'm never going to experience that again. And that is the exact thought that I had with these. And I am so glad that I caught that in a vlog, like just for myself, not necessarily for anyone else, just so I can sort of relive that moment again through the vlogs, because I'm never going to get that back. And I feel a little bit empty now I'm at the end of this series, I'm not going to lie. I know the Spectacular, I do have Spectacular. However, I'm not going to read that until November, December time, because I know it is a Christmas, like, holiday novella. But yeah, the main trilogy is over. And I absolutely adored it. If you plan on reading the books and you don't want to watch my deep dives into them, because they are very spoiler filled, all I can say is believe the hype. Go out, buy the books, put them on your Kindle, whatever your favourite format of reading is, but just read this series, because it is absolutely fantastic. It took me 20 days to read these back to back, and I am a very slow reader. So for me, for not reading fantasy, for not reading series, and for being a slow reader was quite the achievement to do them in that time frame. But yeah, 20 days to read the entire trilogy, and in that 20 days, and I think this is why I have such a hang up about it now, I was completely immersed in the world of Caraval for 20 days. I vlogged back to back, I created content for TikTok, I created content for my blog, all about these books, and now I don't have any of that. I do have the Once Upon a Broken Heart series to read, but I can't go in with another trilogy just yet. Like, I do need a little bit of a break. But yeah, what a fantastic way to spend January. Like, I think I started them on the 11th and finished on the 30th, so most of January was taken up with this trilogy, and in all honesty, I can't think of a better way to spend my month than with these books. It was just great. They all deserved 5 stars. They all brought something different to the table, and yeah, perfection. Please go and watch the reading vlogs when they're out. Caraval is already up. Legendary and Finale will be coming over the next month. So yeah, that was January. I am pretty pleased with that for the month, to be honest. 5 books is decent for me. It's really good. As I said, I had no intention of reading an entire trilogy this month, but I don't regret it in the slightest. It was fantastic. Aside from the Betrayal of Thomas True, it was a great reading month. But yeah, I'm excited to see what February brings. I've had to go for something completely different from my first book in February, because I could feel that there was a strong chance of a reading slump happening after Caraval. It was that good. So I've had to go for something completely different to Caraval, just to try and stave off that reading slump. But I'm excited to see where the month takes me. Like I say, I do not plan TBRs for the month. When I've read this book, I have got no idea what I will be reading next. It's just whatever takes my fancy at the time. So yeah, do let me know if you have read any of these books, or if you plan on reading these books. Tell me what your favourite book in January was, and I will see you guys next time.